as we talked about, IIMs and the startup and the founder, creative ideas, startup ecosystem that exists in all these premium B schools. So we see, many other, not just IIM founders, even the normal founders that you find elsewhere. Right. Many people fail to raise funds because when they pitch in front of venture capitalists, it doesn't go through. So what do you think? Why do founders fail in the funding itself?
See, I'll tell you. First of all, I want to really clear it out that when you don't get funded, it doesn't mean that you have failed.
Yes.
That's the foundational principle, right? You did not get funded because for the investor's money, you are not the right option.
Right.
It's as simple as that. It does not mean that you are wrong. It does not mean that you have failed. That is the foundation principle that every founder must believe in first.
Right.
The second is that every fund has its own age and every fund has its own sector preference.
Right.
For example, I mean, if you look at in India, there are SEBI regulations and there are funds which have a set defined life. Right. So they have to generate returns within a period of say 5 years or 10 years, depending upon what the life of the fund is. And then they have to return that money back to the investors.
Right.
So what a VC investor is looking at is that I want to generate these returns from your startup within a period of 5 to 10 years.
Right.
So whether your idea is good or bad, he will first see that will this startup probably grow 5x, 10x in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years. Right. This is how they think. And that is the reason you will see many venture capital investors not investing in manufacturing companies. Why will they not invest in manufacturing companies? Because manufacturing companies need a lot of capital, right? And they need some time to grow, right? Which the VC funds do not have. So if you're a startup, right, and if you feel that you want to raise funds from a VC investor, you really have to first find out which investor suits your business model, right? So you have to find investors who understand your industry and they're okay with giving you that time and money. Now let us say that you have already identified this, you have gone through this phase, and now you are pitching to an investor. Right? There are a few things that we used to look at, right, when we are analyzing a business or when we are analyzing a startup. The very first thing is you as a founder, right? When we don't have a business, we look at the person who's going to execute it, right? So are you experienced in the industry that you are working in, right? The second is, are you probably well positioned to meet the right people in the industry, right? Do you have that kind of experience where if there are certain challenges in a startup, will you be able to, probably navigate through them? Do you have some kind of revenue coming in, right? Do you have a few lakhs of revenue? Are some customers buying some product, right? The other thing is, how well have you studied your customer? And I'll give you two good examples here. Yesterday, when we were having the one-on-one meetup, right? A young student came to me and he said that I want to build a social media platform where people are only, talking about, let us say, the current news, and the news will be customized for you, right? And you will get to know of all the hot topics that are focusing only on your interests, right? And I want to build on this app, right? Now I think he was 18 or 20 years old, and I gave him one simple question. I'm like, you tell me that there is InShots solving for the news. There is Twitter solving for the latest news media. There is Instagram solving for the social connection, right? How can you even think of creating an app? Right? Where you beat Instagram, Twitter, and InShots at their game and then create a platform which is bigger than all of them. I'm like, do you have any coding experience? The answer is no. Have you talked to people, users of Instagram or Twitter or InShots, and understood what are the things that they don't like? The answer was no. Do you know how much money and how much time will it take for you to build an app and then get the users on it? The answer is no. If you haven't done this research, you don't know who your competitors are. You don't know how your users will behave. And you have jumped directly into building. Why do you think an investor is going to trust you with 1 crore rupees or 50 lakh rupees or even 5 lakh rupees for that matter?
And when the examples are here, the Hike, the company called Hike, it's a messaging app, got closed a couple of years ago saying WhatsApp is too big to compete with.
Exactly.
The Indian counterpart for Twitter, QApp, which is again a micro.
Exactly.
It was very well
It was
funded.
on Shark Tank, by the way. Right? And the founder is a good Twitter personality. He himself is on Twitter. He has like 1.5 million followers. He could not launch his own social media app, right? So what makes you think that it will be easier for you? I'm not saying, I'm not demotivating you, I'm not kind of criticizing you, I'm not pushing you down, but I'm trying to give you a reality check. That it's very important to talk to a few people and understand their problems. Nobody's looking for a new social media app. So why do you want to build it? Right? Now, on the other hand, I'll tell you that there was one startup that I was in touch with. Now, both these founders were brothers, right? And they were probably plain BCom guys. They did not have some great education that you would envy, right? But when they started taking care of the skin, they faced a one simple problem, that I really want to try multiple products in small quantities before I buy something in the huge quantity, right?
Right.
And there was nothing that was happening in that space. But there was one startup which was doing this in the US, and it was huge. It was one of the largest there. They copied and they kind of brought that idea to India. And you know what they did? They started setting up small vending machines where you would be able to probably get those small sizes of compacts, small size of skincare sunscreens. And you know, a lot of girls, a lot of women in office, they really feel like putting some sunscreen and getting a touch up done, right? You know, that was the kind of customer behavior that consumer behavior he was observing at that point of time. He started that business, right? He somehow pitched that idea. He talked to a lot of customers. He collated that research of talking to people. He brought it in front of an investor. Not only that, he promised that he's going to put his own capital to run some ads, and he was able to generate a turnover of about 4 to 5 lakhs a month, right? Then he went through certain challenges, and then he started setting up vending machines in offices, that I'll give you small quantities of sunscreen, small quantities of lipstick, and people were buying those.
Yes, yes.
So there was a problem that was waiting to be solved, that women were not comfortable maybe carrying, let's say, huge packs of their cosmetic things, but and he solved it through a vending machine, right? And then they got funded, right? Now, no fancy pedigree, no fancy education, nobody's from IIT, IIMs, but you observe one problem, you devote time to it, you talk to consumers, and then you solve their problem, and they're ready to pay you for it.
Yes, yes.
That is when the investors believe that, man, he's done it. I mean, you know, irrespective of his education or his background, he has found the problem. He has invested time in researching for the problem, and now he has also executed some part of it. Now we trust you. And now, you know, we are okay to probably put some 5 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees or maybe a crore into your business. But that is the first step, right? So this kind of primary research has been done. This kind of communication with the consumers has been done. And then when you go to an investor, he's going to give you a very good response, because he has seen that you are genuine. You have a lot of hardworking attitude. Your integrity is in place. And once they do all the checks and the due diligence, they'll be happy to invest, right? So you need to have these kind of attributes in you. Right? I mean, when you ask somebody for their money, you need to justify why you're asking their money, and you need to be accountable for it. You need to show that you can trust me, and I will generate some returns for you, right? When this attitude of working on a business idea and then making somebody else trust you with their money, when these things come together, that is when you crack the code. Otherwise, it's very difficult, and that is probably the reason that 100 pitches come to an investor and one goes through. 99 get.
Do investors bet on the person more than the idea, or is there?
In the early stages, yes.
Okay.
In the early stages, it is all about the person, because see, I'll tell you that you and I can both come up with ideas.
Yes.
Right? And we can come up with the best ideas thanks to AI now. But ultimately, it's about the execution. And who executes? I execute, and my team executes.
Yes.
So if I have the knowledge, I have the skills, I have the experience, I have my team, and I have shown some good track record, then the work is easier. Then the job is done, right? So that is when I say that if you are very young, if you have no experience, and if you are out to build the next Google or next Instagram, then you will face a lot of rejection, right? It's not that easy. So there are always going to be these simple indicators that people miss, and you have to put yourself in the investor's shoes. If somebody came and asked me 25 lakh rupees for this idea, will I give it? If the answer is no, then you don't really expect somebody else to give it to you. So I always say, I mean, the best thing that I tell to founders is that be your own customer first.
Right.
If I create something and if I don't use it, then I can't expect somebody else to use it.
Yes.
Very simple. Right. So that is one way to look at it, I would say.